What's up, guys? My name is Label. I'm the creator of Mintopoly, and today I have the biggest announcement in the history of Mintopoly. I'm so excited to share this next phase of the Mintoverse, and I think it's really going to blow you away. But first, let me take a step back to the beginning, because I had always envisioned the current simulator game to be the first act of a much larger ecosystem. The goal was for this game to really just kickstart the community and distribute tokens to those who care about the game the most. And I think together with this community, we've done an incredible job of building a very deep and complex idle game, with thousands of real-time competitors, and it's become so much bigger and deeper than I really could have imagined at the beginning. And in terms of using this game as that new model for distributing tokens, it has been a huge success. So every week for the past 40 weeks, we've been distributing 1 million of the capped 100 million supply of these Mintopoly Money tokens directly to the top few hundred finishers of each round. Now, there's currently around 2,500 addresses holding these Mintopoly Money tokens, and nearly all of them have actually earned the tokens by playing the game, which is incredible. So now, that distribution of 1 million tokens a week is scheduled to continue throughout round 50, which will be sometime early to mid-summer. And I know a lot of you have been wondering about what will happen after round 50. Will the airdrops continue? Will the game change? Are there any other plans beyond that point? And today, I could not be more excited to finally share this next layer of that Mintoverse, the realization of a much larger vision that I've always had for Mintopoly. So, without further ado, that's right, guys, Mintopoly is going to the moon, literally. Now, we've been working very closely with numerous intergovernmental agencies like NASA in order to secure a sizable area of land on which we can build a thriving, self-sufficient colony for the Mintopoly community. We're all going to the moon. And rather than just talk about it, I think it would be best if I actually showed you a quick demo. So let's take a look. All right, now firstly, let me say that this is an early preview, so things may change from here. But this is the Mintopoly Moon colony. You can see there are 7,000 individual hexagonal bases, each of which can be owned as an NFT on Polygon. So right now, you can see that they're all transparent gray, which signifies that they are unowned. But if we fast forward a few months and imagine that many of them have already been purchased, boom, you can see that we get this beautiful color layout. Now the color signifies zones. So each base can be zoned to serve one of 9 different functions, and all of which are essential for a thriving society on the moon. So let's take a look at one base that has already been claimed. Now first of all, we've got to talk about these beautiful 3D dioramas, right? Each zone has its own low-poly 3D render of the hexagonal base, with the background color corresponding to its zone color. And all the base NFTs will feature these colors and these 3D renders as well. So the different zones each generate different resources. So this one is a water extractor, which produces water, an essential resource on the moon. And every 24 hours, the water can be harvested from this base. And harvesting is a crucial function, and owners can't immediately harvest their own bases. They need other players to do it for them. So every player can harvest any one base every maybe 12 hours, and in doing so, they receive a small portion of the resources being harvested, with the rest going to the owner. So you can see, for example, it might be 18 for the owner, and you get 2 for free, essentially, for harvesting it and doing that for the owner. And this is great because it gives everyone a chance to accumulate resources whether or not they own land. In addition, each plot requires a small amount of a different resource as input. So this zone extracts water from moon bricks, so it requires moon bricks to be added onto the plot at regular intervals. Whereas, for example, the greenhouse requires water to be added as input, etc., etc. Now, the last thing to mention about the plots is that each one can have an existing NFT Mintopoly card applied onto it in order to generate vastly more resources on each harvest. And each type of card is paired to a zone type. So for example, these water extractors are paired to the liquidity pool cards. So each one is paired in a way that kind of makes sense for the type of resource it's being generated. In fact, here's an early stage chart of all the zones, the resources, the inputs, and the card types that they're paired to. Now, you might be wondering what the resources are used for, and well, they're essential for every function on the moon, including buying permits to acquire new land, upgrading your account with new features, possibly upgrading your bases in the future, and much more. But most notably, the NFT bases, these 7,000 plots of land, those are claimed and purchased exclusively with these in-game resources. So that's right, you don't need to buy these bases with Ether or Matic or any outside asset. And that's a really crucial point here, is that there's nothing new for sale. It all builds on top of the existing Mintopoly cards and tokens and the entire ecosystem. So let me show you how that process of ultimately claiming a plot of land works. If we choose one here that is still unowned, you can ultimately stake a claim onto this property. Now, the first thing you have to do is pay infrastructure resources to stake the claim. And then each zone will require a different bundle of resources to be paid in order to purchase the land. So for example, if we wanted to claim this as a power plant, you can see that the resources required will change. And you have 30 days after you stake a claim to actually finish funding it. And once you do, you'll be whitelisted to mint that plot as an NFT and have full ownership of it so that you can enjoy earning its resources every day. Now, to make this all possible, the last thing I need to show you today is the exchange. This is a fully functioning free market exchange where players can trade in-game resources with each other at exchange rates that they choose themselves. So it's a free floating market. For example, I could go to sell my resources and I could list, let's say, some magic. Might want to sell 5,000 magic, and then I can choose whichever other resources I want to pair it with, and I can choose the exchange rates. And if I'm not sure what the rates would be, it'll actually pre-fill the most recent exchange rate, so you always know approximately what each resource is worth. So for example, if I wanted to sell it 2 to 1 for silver, I could put 0.5 for silver and see that I get approximately 250 silver. But if I don't want to sell it for electricity, I can check that off. And finally, the most important thing to mention about the moon is that this entire economy is backed by the Mintopoly Money cryptocurrency. So what that means is that every resource can be bought and sold for Mintopoly Money. So for example, if you're new to the moon and new to Mintopoly and you want to acquire some resources to acquire some bases, you can purchase those MM tokens on a crypto exchange, or of course use the ones you've earned in the current game if you have any, and then acquire the resources on the exchange from other players who are selling them. So on the other side, if you're a landowner, you can potentially generate Mintopoly Money tokens by selling the resources your land is generating if there's demand from those who need to acquire those. Plus, this adds immense utility for the existing NFT Mintopoly cards, since they'll help you generate significantly more resources every day. And I think the potential to create a very free and vibrant economy is mind-blowing, with massive real-world use cases now for these tokens, the cards, and ultimately these new NFT bases which tie it all together in a way that really just would not be possible without blockchain and without this year-long distribution to get these tokens into the hands of thousands of players from day one on the moon. So I think this is a really exciting, really innovative way of using blockchain for gaming, and I cannot wait to launch this. So all right, guys, isn't that incredible? That's the first early preview of the Mintopoly Moon. And at this point, everything you saw in that prototype is working. There's still a lot of work to be done, and we're working as quickly as we can, but we expect to reach an early testing phase before too long. A pre-launch, literally. And beyond that, we'll begin launching the first rockets to transport Mintopolis to the moon, and begin adding more and more launches to transport new lunar residents as we're able to do so. And as far as how that process will work of securing a spot on a rocket to the moon, we expect it to be a priority-based system where those who own NFT Mintopoly cards will have virtually instant access, followed by the sign-up list on this page, which I'll get to in a moment, and possibly as well as a combination of the performance and ranking in the current simulator game. So if you're interested in reaching the moon when it launches, the most surefire way is to own a Mintopoly NFT card. Or you can sign up on this page to secure your spot in line. And if you're watching this somewhere else, like on YouTube, you can always sign up at mintopoly.io/moon. So on this page here, you'll also find a link to the NFT Mintopoly cards. These are, of course, the cards that give you boosts in the current game and allow you to rank higher and ultimately earn more Mintopoly money to prepare for the moon. And as you've seen, the cards will also be incredibly useful on the moon as well. So they have a lot of value. And then from our perspective as developers, these cards are really the primary source of revenue for this game. It's completely bootstrapped by card sales from the community. They allow us to continue developing and will ultimately help us get this game across the finish line. So it's really a win-win. And we recently launched an on-site vending machine, so you can purchase packs of cards at very low prices and with much lower gas fees than OpenSea. So if you're able to support that game in that way and get something valuable in return, it would really help us get this project to completion. And as you can see, I'm working really hard to ensure that these existing cards and tokens and the entire ecosystem have as much value and as many use cases as possible. So finally, I wanted to let you know you can feel free to share this announcement with your friends. I think the Moon project will appeal to a much wider audience. So if you know someone who might like to hear about this upcoming game, I'm sure they would appreciate hearing about it now and being able to get in line on the list earlier rather than later. So ultimately, the more people we have taking part in this new economy, the more robust it will be. So feel free to email or tweet or DM this page to your friends. I'd really appreciate it. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for playing and supporting this crazy project. And stay tuned for our Discord and Twitter for the latest Moon announcements.